Hello and welcome to the Health Master podcast. My guest today is Sveti Williams. This is the right pronunciation of the name, right?
Yes, that's right.
She's a sleepologist and a world-class expert in sleep. Can you introduce yourself in a little bit more details?
Yes, of course. So, yes, I'm a sleepologist, and what I do, I help people basically uh, to relearn how to sleep well, and I usually use methods from complementary medicine to basically allow them to regain that, their health back, and so they are able to fall asleep naturally without the need of the medication or any other things that they these days are often prescribed. So I just help them to get there naturally and effectively without drugs and things like that, and restore restore their health and put get the circadian rhythm back into into order, so they can sleep, have that rhythm, natural rhythm back in place.
So, for a normal person, what can I do to improve my sleep?
Okay, well, firstly, before you know what you need to do, you need to know what happened in the first place, what happens to your sleep, and to understand the root cause of the sleep issues that you experience is the place to start. So if you know that the specific things disrupt your sleep, you need to address those things, you see. So if you find what is causing your insomnia or poor sleep, you can work on the things that disrupt in your sleep, and then you can implement things that help you sleep. So you can't if you start working on fixing on how to finding little tips and things to help you sleep, it's almost like you're finding that band-aid on band-aid situation, instead of fixing the root cause and the entire problem.
So, what are the things which may cause insomnia?
uh, Oftentimes people that I see, they say, look, I just can't switch off my brain. I literally can't. But there are a few causes that can cause insomnia. So those causes are emotional, psychological, biological, and and psychological. Did I say psychological? So, so the causes of insomnia mainly that I come across with is basically emotional, psychological. Because you see, these days we are exposed to a lot of things that we usually not never been exposed to in the entire human evolution. You see, when we go outside, by the time we get from A to B, we were exposed to, let's say, hundreds of cars, hundreds of billboards flashing. You see, we are so overexposed to all these things that our brain doesn't have enough time to process that information. We are exposed to too much information these days, and our brain is not able to switch off at night to give us that relaxation to go to sleep. And this disrupts our circadian rhythm, and once the circadian rhythm is disrupted, our sleep is disrupted and our health declines. So we could quickly lose our health, lose we can get our immune system weakened, and it could be quite a challenge to get back into health and strengthen the immune system and get back to the healthy circadian rhythm. So it's very important to allow your brain to switch off and to be able to kind of minimize the exposure to the bright lights and loud information. We are exposed to this information everywhere we go. Just think about it. Before the light invention, we did not have this. We used to go to bed with the sun and wake up with the sun, you see. But now we literally fight the natural process. We fight our natural circadian rhythm. We basically go against our master clock in our body, which is our circadian rhythm. And circadian rhythm is literally controls every process in the body. Once the circadian rhythm is disrupted, the consequences could be fatal. The consequences are life-changing and fatal. So it's just important to be able to know how to switch off your mind, to go to sleep and get that, great night's sleep so you can function the next day.
So basically, we have too much information around us. Is this correct? And
We
the
do, yeah.
the artificial light also happens to influence our circadian rhythm and our sleep.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. Yes.
So our goal is to consume less information or what?
Um, well, how do you do that? These days, it's a lifestyle, you see. We can't really just, switch off and go to the woods and stay there for a week, It's just these days the lifestyle is our lifestyle. So we cannot literally escape the lifestyle unless we completely change it. However, there are things people can do to minimize the our reaction to the all the stimulus outside us, right? If it is bright light, there are things that people can implement to minimize the exposure to bright light or neutralize the exposure. You see, there are things people do to deal with the stress and to our response to the all this information. There are a lot of things we can do to minimize our our reaction to all this exposure and to all of this that we're bombarded with, all this information around us.
Can we get a little bit more specific about these things?
Of course. So, for example, we have jobs. We drive to work. We end up spending an hour in the car, there, an hour back. We drive past hundreds of cars. We get stressed on the way to get to work. Before we even get to work, we are stressed already. See, then we have to stay at work for 8 hours, and we're gonna perform. We're gonna be alert. We're gonna, try to stay awake and always in control of what we're doing to deliver. Right? We have to deliver. We are so we expected to deliver a lot these days. You see, our expectations from us are quite high these days. Our jobs are stressful, things like this. So what we can do, we can minimize how we see life around us in a way of not reacting to the stresses. Okay, when it comes to evening time, we need to, the moment you get home, it's important to basically tone it down, the noises around us. Just turn it down. The lights, turn them off. Stresses, try to deal with them. In terms of having a good diet, it's also important to have a great diet to support your body systems, because you see, if we have bad diet, we're just adding to the stresses. You see, the body already has so much to process, and the more we stress in the body on top of what we're already exposed to, we are not helping. If we have a bad diet, it creates a lot of histamine in our body. When we have a lot of histamine, you see, we can't sleep because of this histamine and inflammation, stuff like that's happening. You see, the hormones that need to be produced in order for us to go to sleep, are not producing in time, and they delay our circadian rhythm, to delay our sleep onset. You see, so it's important to look after yourself holistically, not just one thing, not just one particular element, but basically look at everything. To be able, these days, right, to be able to have good health, good sleep, productive life, you need to change your lifestyle. And I'm not saying quit your job or anything like that. You need to basically have that mindset of knowing what you need, what your body needs. You can't just neglect yourself and expect to have great sleep, expect to have ideal weight, expect to be productive at work, expect to look young and things like that. You don't expect to be in a good mood if you didn't sleep well. You see, when we didn't sleep well, we literally wake up grumpy. We wake up like we just had a hangover, right?
Yes.
So how do you expect to have feel great if you didn't sleep well? How do you expect to relax at night if you had a crazy stressful day?
Yes.
So you see, these days we just have to make sure we're in that mindset that allows us to prioritize ourselves and our health in many ways, many ways.
So it's mindset first. Basically, change your mind and you sleep better. Don't be too much reactive, but be more positive, and you can sleep better. Is this correct?
Yes, that is a part of it. There is a big part of, these days our lifestyle is so fast. We need to be able to know how to slow down. Yes, life is fast. Life is exciting these days. You see, we've got everything. We've got all this stuff going on, and we want to be a part of this. We can't just go to the mountains and become a monk, right? Yes, some people do. I probably would love to do that, but we can't. Life is so exciting, and it's exciting to be part of it. But there is a flip side to that. You need to know the balance and the relaxation part as well. I love to going out and to big events, and it's so exciting. But I can't wait to get home to my quiet house, turn off all my lights, just switch on the fairy lights, really lights, really those golden lights, and just sit there in quiet, just quietly. People these days, they just love watching TV. They come home and they binge watch TV. What does that do? Firstly, exposes you to too much blue light. What does that do? Disrupt your circadian rhythm. Why? It ruins your eyes. Why? Why do you do that? But not just that. All the TV shows, they have negative messages to our subconscious mind. And what does subconscious mind do? Absorbs everything. And what does it do? It controls us. We can't control our subconscious mind, but what it does, it controls us. And when we watch TV with all this, TV show, like, junk food advertisement, those TV shows that have a lot of drama, our brain literally goes into shock. It's too much, right? So people don't understand. How do you expect to go to sleep after you've just been watching the reality show that gives you, all this release of this cortisol and adrenaline and all these kind of crazy hormones in the body at the wrong time? You see, how do you expect to be relaxed after this? How do you expect to have a good night's sleep if you come home and you just drank a bottle of wine? Yes, you can pass out on the couch, but then 2-3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up, you can't go back to sleep, and you just wake up and next morning you feel, hangover. So you need to be mindful of these things. For example, my TV is not hooked up to antenna. I have TV, but I don't ever turn it on because I just don't want that bad news. We can limit our exposure to things that we sometimes forced to be exposed to, but we don't really have to. We can still have the modern days lifestyle, but we don't have to be traumatized by it.
Do you have some kind of a sleep routine? I'm interested in your sleep routine and how do you sleep?
Yeah, I do. I prioritize my sleep. I work every night mostly, and I do stay on my laptop till late. But what I do. My sleep routine doesn't just start in the evening. My sleep routine is all day. You see, I have an iPhone, and on the iPhone you have night shift, right? So my night shift is 24/7, and my when it comes to the light, the brightness of the screen, it's dimmed all the way down, right?
Yes.
So my eyes and on my laptop, I also have the night shift mode switched on, and my screen also screen light is all the way down, so I do not have the bright light exposure.
Yes.
I dim my lights down at night, and my kids, they don't watch TV. They don't watch. If they watch something, that it will be on iPad, it will be far away from them. Like the distance also has, you know, has the impact on how we react to the blue light exposure. Firstly, my iPad has the warm light and doesn't have it has that distance between you and the screen. So you're not sitting there like with your face in the screen. And what I do all day, all day I kind of pace around. I don't have like I do have crazy days because I travel for work, I do things. However, what I always have those times of relaxation. You just sit there and switch off your mind. If there is stress, I'm really disciplined, tell myself, how important is it really? It's not important right now. What important is how I feel right now. And always having those, times when if somebody upsets you, all you do, I have mantras in my mind. I always have mantras going in my mind. And if somebody upsets me, I ask for forgiveness, because if somebody upset me, there's something inside me that caused this upset in me. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but what is the exact mantras you tell yourself? Is it something like in yoga, it's Om, or something like something else?
I have a mantra where I'm grateful. So I say thank you. I say, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I say, I love you. Just
To
mantras like
yourself,
that.
basically to your subconscious mind, or
You just say it. You don't have to say anyone's particular. You don't have to stand in front of the mirror and say it to yourself. You just say it. Your brain doesn't really care who you say it to. The words are there. You don't really have to be specific. You just say them. If somebody upsets you, who cares? Forgive them. I don't
so
hold any those negative emotions, because you see, we have two parts of our mind, right? There's conscious mind and there's subconscious mind. Well, there's also a super conscious mind, but that aside, today we will mention the first two, which is conscious, which we only use about 9%, and the rest is subconscious mind. It does everything is stored in our subconscious mind. And when it comes to our reaction to everything that's going on around us, the reaction is triggered by something from the subconscious mind, and our conscious mind basically that gives us that action. We react and we act the emotion. So everything 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 we ever experienced in our life is stored in our subconscious mind. But our conscious mind misses a lot of that. It forgets. It takes things from short-term memory, puts into long-term memory, and things like that. But when it comes to recall, the recall is only it comes from the conscious mind, you see? So a lot of things we just do not remember, but our subconscious mind knows. So when, you see, a subconscious mind dictates a lot of our feelings, emotions, actions, reactions, and things like that that we experience during the day. And our conscious mind is very good at distracting us all day long. We get distracted, right? We do things like we, go to work, we have kids, we go out, we eat, we kind of always interact with people, we watch TV. We always keeping our mind busy. But what happens when you're lying in bed?
you try to relax.
You
This is
try to
what I
relax.
do. Or I read a book before bed. Basically, this is my routine. I read a book or just lying at 4 o'clock and I'm completely, after 1 second, I'm falling asleep. So, because I'm so tired.
Yeah, but you see, Well, that's good. But you see, when we lie in bed, what happens to us? We are alone with our subconscious mind because our conscious mind is no longer distracted. So conscious mind is now sitting there feeling all of this pain and emotions and triggers from the subconscious mind and can no longer find any distractions. Because we're in bed, it's dark and we're alone, right, with our thoughts and emotions. And this is what happens. People, if they don't deal with their emotions on daily basis, they have these two situations. People oftentimes think about the past. They're always in the past. They're thinking, well, I wish I did this right. I wish I didn't do that. I wish he did this and she did that. And they're ruminating on the past while they're trying to relax to go to sleep, right? And no wonder they go into depression, because depression is a symptom of being in the past. And they can't
Depression
fall
is a
asleep.
symptom of being in the past.
Exactly. It's the outcome of always thinking of the past, ruminating on the past. But there is another situation. When people lie in bed, they're thinking too much of the future, which causes anxiety. The anxiety is a symptom of overthinking of the future. So when people lie in bed, they either thinking too much of the past or thinking too much of the future, and they get anxiety, they get depression. I wish I didn't do this. I wish this didn't happen. Or why did this happen to me? And all these things come to them, at night. Oh, how dare he did that and she did this, and I lost this and I lost that. I can't forgive. Or they're thinking too much of the work. Oh, I need to deliver this. I need to do that. I need to do too much in the past. Well, instead, what we need to do, we need to appreciate the present moment and just lie there. And while trying to relax, you switch off your mind at the same time. So you don't think of the past and you don't think of the future.
But what you
But
appreciate while you're lying in bed.
yes, we need to lie down and be in the moment. But it's very difficult because our mind is going crazy from the exposure during the day. Sometimes people don't think of the past, they don't think of the future. They just simply can't switch off their mind because they got all this, things, information. You see, if we get all these kind of chunks of information given to us during the day, our brain says, hold on a minute, I'm still dealing with this one. And then it comes next one, hold on a minute, I'm still dealing with this information. By the time you get home and get to bed, you've got 20 other things of information for your brain to process, right? Because
Yes.
it's still there on hold. And the brain, when you lie in bed, the brain says, here you go, all this information, deal with it. And people can't. They just can't deal with that. They stay awake. They can't go to sleep, or they wake up during the night and they start thinking, I gotta process this information. And they can't get to that great night's sleep. They can't get to the deep sleep. They can't get to REM sleep because our brain our conscious mind doesn't switch off. Where at night, the conscious mind needs to be completely switched off. Unconscious mind never sleeps. It never switches off. It's more active actually during the night. Even research, the scientists say that our brain is more active while we're sleeping.
And this is the subconscious mind, right?
Yeah, the brain doesn't stop. And that memory, the brain processes the memory all night long. It does a lot of work while we're sleeping. However, we need to switch off the conscious mind so it doesn't give us, doesn't start keeping us awake to process the information. It needs to go to sleep and does the processing in the background in the subconscious part of the brain.
And we switch off the conscious mind by being in the present, not thinking about anything and just relaxing, right?
Yes, we need to switch it off, whatever it takes, switch it off. So you're not thinking of the past, you're not processing useless information, because you see, people start thinking about little things and they can't stop. They go and go and go. And then in the morning they wake up and thinking, what was it? It was nothing important.
Is too
They
much
just
is too much focusing on good night sleep actually counterproductive to getting a good night's sleep, or it's not like this?
Yes, it can be. If people are focusing too much on something, that could be stressful. And what it can do, it can trigger stress hormones, cortisol, and instead of having serotonin, we get cortisol and adrenaline, because they're thinking, oh, well, I need to focus on my sleep. That's one more thing I have to deal with. And people see that as a negative situation. Instead of thinking, my sleep just comes, they're thinking of the sleep as positive and relaxing and things like this. They think of it of a big stress, and they're no longer relaxing about it. They're now stressing about, what can I do? What do I need to do? What if I don't sleep? It turns into anxiety.
How did you start it with all the sleep science? What is your story? I'm interested in about your childhood and how it all became connected.
Yes, you see, I was born in a really small country in Europe. Perhaps because you're from Europe, right?
Yes.
I was born in Moldova.
Yes.
Moldova is a very small country, and those days, communism times, we basically we grew up in a way that if we couldn't grow our own stuff, we just couldn't buy it. You see, and it was because of community. We had to go and we share a lot of things. Like if we grow corn, we go to our neighbor and we swap it for wheat, for example. You see, so and I grew up in not just a small country, but a small little town in the middle of the country somewhere. So I grew up with my great grandma and my grandma raising me, mostly because my mom and dad are always busy. And we used to gather food from outside, from our garden, and including medication, because we never had good medication in the country. We couldn't just buy this fancy medicine and things like this. We used to just make it. Our medicine was Panadol and, penicillin. It was only two medications. While the one is, to take the pain away, and one is antibiotic. Well, that was it. So I grew up knowing all of these remedies to sleep well. And I remember we lived without my great grandma till I was 16. She died when she was 91, and she thought she had heart condition, and she always used to take these drops, and they were made from the valerian root. Valerian, this is a herb, the relaxation herb. And it's really potent. It smells really bad, and our entire house stunk of valerian. And I remember for everything, any symptom, she used to take valerian. Any symptom, she used to give me valerian, right? So in
And
her house,
valerian is used for what? It's for
valerian, it's a hypnotic, like it's a sedative, a natural remedy.
yes, it's
Yeah.
for relaxation, right?
Pardon?
It's for relaxation and better sleep, actually.
It's for sleep. Yeah, it's just for relaxation, calming. So she thought she had heart condition, which she didn't, and the entire house stunk of valerian. If you ever go and smell valerian drops, you can't go close to it. It's very, very potent. And you know what? In my house, everyone was very quiet. I grew up in a very quiet house. My mom and dad never fought, and my grandparents never fought. Everything was really quiet. But now I know, because we were drugged. You see, we were naturally drugged. And my grandparents were always very calm. However, when my grandma died, great grandma, we moved to Czech Republic. We moved to Europe, and then I moved to London. And you see, in my country, we didn't have all this junk food and all this fancy packaging food. We were really healthy because we grew all our vegetables, and we had mainly plant-based diet with a little bit of animal products. When I was 16, me and my brother, he was 12, we moved to Europe. We went crazy eating junk food. I got sick, right? When I was 18, you see, I moved to London to study. Oh, imagine, I'm in London, teenager, alone in London. I went crazy. All I had is cookies and junk food every day. By the time when I was 21, I moved to Australia. I was sick. And my health was started to decline. And I remember I lost my sleep. Since we moved countries, since I was 16, my sleep wasn't great because again, junk food, and emotionally, I wasn't dealing very well from moving from my country, and my great grandma died. So I had emotional trauma. Plus I had junk food. Plus we moved countries. I had to settle in, and all these times that I moved. So all this contributed to my insomnia for years and years. I struggled a lot until I got diagnosed with autoimmune disease. Once I was diagnosed, I was so sick. I wasn't just physically sick, I was emotionally sick, and I was not well. So I had 2 kids by that time. And I was still in my 20s. And I could not function. I just literally thought, that's it. I'm just gonna give up because it's too hard. But I didn't give up. I kept going because I remember I was so sick. I used to lie in bed and used to pray to God. God, can you please make me a better person?
But what
Can you
was the sickness from? Not sleeping or something else?
To be honest, I think poor sleep, bad diet contributed to this, So it's a combination. My sleep was really, really bad. I just was struggling a lot until I decided, well, I'm going to change everything. So I went cold turkey. I threw away everything from my kitchen, everything from my bathroom, and I changed my diet from junk food diet to raw food diet. Raw food, vegan diet. I changed it. And then I went to college. I was studying a lot. I went to university. I started studying complementary medicine, and I've done a lot of research. I researched for years, and I fixed my sleep. And I started trying my method on other people, and it worked. And then people said to me, "Why don't you write a book?" And I wrote a book. You see? And then people started asking me about sleep and things like this. And this is how it happened. This is it, right? Now, this is it. So my whole life revolves around sleep. But I had to get very sick to get here in the first place. So that's the story.
For the listeners, what is the book for them to check it out and buy it or download it? I don't know.
Yes, I have my book. It's called Fix My Sleep.
Yes.
That's the book. You can buy it on Amazon or on my website, svetiwilliams.com, or just find me on social media, Sveti Williams, and you'll find my book there and
Okay.
find me.
I will include the links, and I'm interested. Are you still vegan? No meat or no milk, or just raw food?
No, what I've done, when I first had to change my diet, I went cold turkey, raw vegan. Then I adjusted my diet to my needs. So my philosophy is plant-based diet 90% of the time. If you don't have to be vegan, you don't have to be any particular, specific diet. But what you need to know is that if you have your diet based on 90% of plants, right? Don't eat gluten. Because that's highly inflammatory. However, if you have 90% just plants, and you can add milk, you can add dairy and meat, fish, whatever you want, your diet will be balanced. This is my philosophy. These days, life is crazy, crazy busy. So we can't always stick to one particular diet. But what we can do, we can just know that if we know we had 90% plants today, we can have that piece of, non-plant food. That's it.
So
And
90% plants, right?
yes.
In your diet. Everything else is okay. Meat is okay. Milk is okay. Everything.
Exactly. If you have that, I'm not saying I'm, I want to be vegan or I want to be paleo or any particular type. I just know this is my rule. You have the balance in your diet and you have the balance in, other parts of your life. Your life will be fine. Your health
Do you buy
will be.
from local stores or from supermarkets? What do you prefer?
I prefer local stores, but I can't always get there. Uh, So it's everywhere. Just do your best. Go to supermarket and still find normal food. You can go to farmers markets and you can support them and buy great food. But obviously, be mindful. If you buy honey, just buy raw honey. Don't buy honey that you just been cooked and things like that. So just education. Educate yourself. Education is the key. You just once you know stuff, you know what to do with it, and you make better choices.
And what are your future plans? Do you plan to write another book?
Actually, I do. I just came back from China a couple of days ago, and I spent over a week there, and yes, I want to write my next book. But you see, my first book is based on my method that I used firstly to fix my sleep, and it's got a lot of sleep science and other stuff as well. But my next book is I want it to be about the experience of other people fixing their sleep, because I've had a lot of clients. I worked with a lot of people fixing their sleep and people from different backgrounds and different jobs and different families and things like this. So the next book will be pretty much different experiences, what happens in the process of fixing your sleep, and why people lose their sleep and things like this. So it's been like more specific.
Do you use exercise for improving the sleep?
Yes. I prefer, because you see, I'm a person, I like to have relaxed lifestyle, even though I do work hard, I work long hours. But everything I do doesn't have anything strenuous. And I prefer to have that kind of easier lifestyle, easier on your body. So I prefer yoga rather than, for example, strenuous exercise. So yoga promotes that health and healing, and it works with our circadian rhythm. If we incorporate yoga, our body kind of resets our body systems, and we are able to, because yoga could be just as intense as, for example, going to gym and lifting weights, for example. You see, so if I prefer yoga because it helps a lot with sleeping. So it promotes relaxation.
Uh, I'm laughing because some people do ice baths, and I don't think you're a person of ice baths and things like this.
No, I like more, easier, easier style of exercising. Yoga is
Yoga.
good and
You
stretches.
recommend yoga. So to summarize
Yeah.
some things, don't be stressed during the day. Do yoga. Uh, what was the? I was not sure. Eat raw food, 90% plants, right? And what
Yeah.
else would you recommend to people?
Um, Depending on the problem, when it comes to diet, find things that contain natural melatonin, because our body needs melatonin to promote sleep. So once we have enough melatonin in our body, uh, we are ready for sleep. If we don't have enough melatonin, our body struggles to fall asleep and stay asleep. So foods, a lot of people come to me and say, hey, I just taken, is it okay to take melatonin supplements? What people don't understand that melatonin is a hormone. When people start taking melatonin on a regular basis, they are putting themselves on a hormone replacement therapy. Our body is designed to make its own melatonin. So having foods that contain natural melatonin, it will promote the sleep and production of melatonin in your body. So foods like, if you eat meat, foods like turkey, salmon, tuna, and foods are plant-based like nuts, seeds, cherries. What else is there? cucumbers, spinach, things like that will help you produce the natural melatonin, and bananas also, and other fruits that help with the production. So having balanced diet contains melatonin is important, especially in the evening. What I say to people, look, there are rules. You gotta have, you gotta know what you can do, what you can't do when it comes to sleep. If your sleep wasn't struggling, you wouldn't be talking to me today, right? About sleep. You wouldn't come to me asking me questions. So I'm answering your questions, and I'm telling you that if you want to fix your sleep, you're gonna make some changes. And changes don't have to be dramatic. You don't have to change your entire lifestyle. But what you can do, you need to have light dinner. Don't have late dinner. Don't come home and study till 9 p.m. this massive big steak, that's not going to be good for your body. Your body's going to stay up for 6 hours trying to digest the steak. If I ate that big steak, I'll be up for a week, not being able to sleep. You see, if you have to have dinner late, make sure your dinner hasn't got any meat, because that concentrated animal protein could take longer for our digestive system to digest and assimilate in the body. So having things like lighter dinner, and you can have salad, but if it doesn't satiate you fully, add some nuts, seeds. You can add some dairy. Sometimes fermented dairy can help you with sleep, and it's not as hard to digest. But just be mindful, if it gives you upset stomach, don't have it. Right? Have something else. Have vegetables, have salads, have seeds, stuff like this. If you have to have dinner late, so in the morning, don't just get up and drink coffee on an empty stomach. Why? Why do you do that to yourself? Do you want to ruin your stomach? Do you want to give yourself acid reflux later in life? Don't. Just hydrate your body with alkalizing drink. Have like super greens powder, for example, or have warm water with lemon or lime, or have buy a cup of soda with hot water and then put cold water in it, so you can alkalize your body for the day. You need to switch on your metabolism. So what you do in the morning and what you do at night contributes to your sleep. Whatever you do during the day, I really don't care. Isn't really, you can just do whatever you want during the day. But when it comes to afternoon, become mindful about sleep and relaxation. When it comes to morning time, know that you need to wake your body properly with the proper mindset. You need to wake up and be ready for the day. Set the intention that you're going to have the best day of your life, and be grateful for the day, right? You're still alive. And then don't just wake up. Don't just wake up and start, cursing the world and, blaming the world for your problems. Your life is your own problem, you see. So once you know how to look after your body will respond. Your body will feel great. It doesn't work against you, it wants to work with you. So what you need to do, just give your body that good foundation of health. Wake up, alkalize your body, wake up the metabolism. Don't have late dinner. Don't watch TV at night. Don't watch, if you have to watch TV, like some people say, look, it's just TV is just my thing, fine, watch TV. But don't just have a timer. For example, I'll just watch one show, half an hour, and I'm done. Have the distance between you and TV. Don't watch TV shows that are really loud. Turn it down. Don't watch TV that put you into state of excitement. Rather, just watch something boring. Watch something relaxing, romantic, whatever, comedy. Don't watch anything that, what's going to play up with your mind and keep you up at night, give you nightmares. Why? Why would you do that? For example, don't speak to people. A lot of people come to me and say, oh, look, I just can't help it. My friend come over and tells me all these things and I can't sleep. Well, don't talk to your friend. Do you want to sleep or not? Do you want to sleep or do you not want to sleep? Make a decision. If your friend wants to come at night time, tell her to go home. Tell her your problems. So she can go home and think of your problems rather than you thinking of her problems, you see? So knowing what puts you into stress response, don't do those things.
Do you
And
use,
yeah.
do you use light, something like a light routine? For example, go at the sunset or sunrise and using light for improving your sleep?
Yes, the first thing you need to do in the morning when you wake up, if the sun is already up, go outside and look at the sun. Just stand there in the natural light and absorb that light for your skin and for your eyes, because that will reset your circadian rhythm. That light will tell your circadian rhythm that it's morning time. Okay? At night time, switch off your bright lights and have the warm lights around the house, because you see, if we have bright light, it will stop production of melatonin, so our circadian rhythm will stay alert. You know what happens? Our circadian rhythm is set in a specific way. We can't just trick it or anything like this. So we also work with the planet and the moon and the sun. So when the moon is down, our circadian rhythm naturally changes for us to transition into sleep, but it needs our help. So you see, for example, if our bedtime is set to go to bed at like 10 p.m., our circadian rhythm is set with 10 p.m. Well, we don't feel tired yet because we watch too much TV, had stressful day, we can't relax, can't switch off the mind, and thinking, oh well, I'm not tired enough, I'm just gonna stay up a little bit and do this one little thing or watch one more show on TV. You know what we do to our body? We literally tell our body that we go against our body, and our mind goes into a state of confusion and tells us, hold on a minute, was I not supposed to go to bed right now? And the brain goes into fight or flight response. And what it does is shuts off the production of melatonin, serotonin, and the pleasure hormones and relaxation hormones. And what it does, it automatically goes to sympathetic nervous system dominance, switches on cortisol, adrenaline, and puts us into fight or flight response. And there are 3 situations that come from fight or flight response: whether you fight, you run, or you freeze. However, whatever your reaction and your action, the body is producing stress hormones to keep you awake. And do you know why? Just in case something happens, because your body is not used to stay up this late, or body is confused. So it says, wait, I'm just going to stay up just in case something happens. And then we delay our sleep onset, for another hour, half an hour, and we can't go back to sleep. And circadian rhythm is disrupted. Just one night like this disrupts our circadian rhythm.
So basically, what you recommend is first thing in the morning, get some sunlight, and a lot of the listeners which watch this actually use iris to block the blue light from their screen at night and reduce the bright light from the screen. Is this helpful, actually?
Yes, you can. Yes. So you see, blue light is the artificial light, right? Our body is designed. We can deal with that light during the day, right? We're fine. We're okay. But once the sun is down, the exposure to blue light for our brain is crucial. We can't have too much of that. We need to minimize that exposure. The light from the sun is okay for us. We deal with it naturally because we are designed that way. But the artificial light is the one that inhibits our sleep, inhibits the production of melatonin and things like that. So we need to limit it or kind of counteract it in some ways. And there are ways that you can do it. You wear the glasses, the red tinted glasses. You have the screen shield and whatever those things are, to counteract that exposure on our, to our brain. Having the distance between you and the blue light. You see, a lot of people these days have the fluorescent lights at home. And that fluorescent light is our enemy. It smashes our brain. You see, why do you want to do that to brain? Isn't our brain busy enough during the day? It doesn't need to be smashed at night by the fluorescent lights. Have what they call it, incandescent lights. Have the warm lights, the salt lamps, the fairy lights, the really dimmed lights. Have the relaxation music. Have those glasses that preserve your eyes and the exposure to the blue light to on our nerves and in our brain. You need to have that. It's a protection. Better. What's better, the prevention or the cure? Prevention is always better than the cure. So you need to protect yourself from those things. Be mindful and be educated and smart enough to know what you need.
I think this was a great ending to our conversation, so I'm going to stop the live video after a couple of seconds. Thank you very much for being the guest today and for all your tips and for everything. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me today.